in Olympic Games, we lag behind terribly. And what is the reason? What are the reasons for this? Is it because we are not talented, or is it because we are not being managed properly at some point in the lives of the sportsmen and women? Well, I came to the conclusion that we need to plan. We need to plan and develop the raw talents, not just focusing on sports, but focusing on their physical education as well. So my solution that I came up with was to embark on this university project. Since there are no such facilities in Nigeria that could be made available to the training of our sportsmen and women. By the way, I come from Delta State in Nigeria, which is a home for sports. Everybody knows Delta State as #1 state in the country. And so for me, locating the university in Delta was the most important thing that I could do, especially after speaking with the governor of my state and a host of other stakeholders. And I felt that having a university that could offer joint honors degree, in some places they call it combined honors, but joint honors degrees as a way of attracting further interest in sports was the right thing to do. For instance, if you are going to be admitted into the university to study history, you're not going to do straight history. You're going to do history and some other thing. It could be a footballer or a basketball player, or whatever field that you have competence in. What the whole idea is that we're going to catch you young. We're going to catch them young, admit them and train them over time. So for at least from 16-year-olds, they will be focusing on their physical and mental development. I feel that this is the way to go forward. The first few years of the university, we should be able to at least admit about 5,000 students. That is what we plan in the first 5 years. So, but it is a university that will offer other courses. We're not just looking at sports. We're looking at conventional courses in any other university. But for you to get into this university, you must have interest in sports. You must be a good sportsman or woman. You must have the raw talent. And then you come there for us to help to develop you, to make you into a world-class sportsman or woman. Because I know for years I've been close to other sportsmen from Nigeria and women, and those of them who managed to get silver or gold in Olympics just from personal hard work. There's hardly any kind of support from the government. There's hardly any. You know, we all know what happens here. When it's about 2 months to Olympics, you get people running helter-skelter, putting together some kind of camp here and there, but that's hardly enough. You don't expect guys who goes through that to go to Olympics and then win medals. It just wouldn't happen. We'll just be deceiving ourselves. So long-term planning is what we need, but it requires collaboration between the private sector and governments. The policies must be clearly spelled out. But I believe that the foundation must be through a university of this nature. Hence, I am investing heavily in it and hope that at the end of the day, it will work out as I believe it should.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Particular university, and they are quite happy to send their students to this particular university. So it is open to all Africans and beyond.
Okay. The next question is from Lindy Ingwenya. Will you be setting up your own leagues in each sport to get the right level of competition to develop the student athletes?
No, we're not going to set up our own leagues, but we're going to have sports clubs in the university. Football club, for example, basketball club, swimming club, golf course club. We need to have clubs, and we hope that the the various bodies outside there will be able to tap into these groups, into these various clubs. At least we believe that if we have very competent youngsters playing or doing whatever sport they're doing there, and they're identified by clubs outside the university, they should be able to, use those other clubs outside the university as a platform to reach to the heights, whatever it is that they want to reach to.
Okay. The next one is from Mark Jabbar. In an age of entrepreneurism, what type of degrees will you be offering?
We're offering, as I said, joint honors degrees, but we're having degrees in 11 sports courses, from sports science and technology to sports broadcasting to
scouting,
special sports as well. But as I said before, we also have the conventional degrees. But every degree that we have must be joint honors. You must combine it with a sports program. You must show that you can do something else beyond just mere academic pursuit.
Okay, and then we have a question from Jesus Adula. How can clubs recruit players from the university?
Well, it should be open. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to make it known to the world what we are doing there. And so if we have the best of swimmers, the best of footballers, the best of field and track events in that field, we're going to be holding competitions every now and then. Scouts will come in there and look at them and see what they can, how they can take students from there to the higher heights, as it were. It will be a ground for, developing raw talents.
Got you. Two more questions.
Right.
Two more questions, and we'll wrap it up. One from Beto. In developing the university, which nations and models have you considered in its development, and will there be a distinct African flavor to it?
Well, we want the best. We want the best. We want to be able to compete with the best in the world. We are looking at Olympic standards. And so in putting the curriculum together for this university, I traveled to China, I traveled to UK, I traveled to America, I traveled to Russia, and about 10 other countries in looking at the facilities, looking at the equipment, looking at the curriculums, looking at the environment generally. So we want to produce sportsmen and women that will compete with the best and the best in the world. Not necessarily African standard. We are looking at the world's class standard.
Okay, final one from Namsa Mahalangu. What is the ultimate goal for the university in terms of sports? Is this purely to develop athletes?
To develop athletes, yes. Develop athletes, give them the opportunity to be educated, as I said. And because it's not everybody that will graduate from the university that will become a sportsman or woman. We're going to have sports managers as well. You're going to have those, somebody might go there and say, oh, I want to study law, but I also like football. But at the end of the 3-year program, they realize that they're not particularly good in football, good enough to play in professional football. So they might then at that point go into other sports management or career in the legal profession. So it's a place that nobody should go through without having the options of how best to make good their lives.
All right, thank you very much, Leslie. And ladies and gentlemen, as we get along, Leslie will be coming up with the questions that are being asked to our panelists for today. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Prince Ned Nwoko, for that brilliant presentation, and also the brilliant idea that you took upon yourself to make sure you try to get this university started.